experience. I met thousands of troops and, listened to their stories. And it was just a very emotional, very touching experience, heartwarming experience. And, several years later, I had mentioned to Chris that I thought that he would really enjoy the experience too, because it's like nothing else really. And we were fortunate enough to take a trip with General Dunford. It was right around the holiday time, and it was just fantastic. I mean, we met so many amazing men and women, and really had that very unusual opportunity to get to thank people in person for their service, and I just absolutely love working with USO.
Chris, what about you?
Yeah, God, well said. I mean, I don't know how I can follow that up. I may be a bit more concise with it because Scarlett, hit all the points that I would agree with. I just have an enormous amount of respect for the courage, the dedication of the servicemen and women in this country. It's something I know I couldn't do, and that's why when you see the sacrifice firsthand, when you go over there and you kind of really experience the life that comes with that type of sacrifice, you can't help but feel like you owe, and you want to give back and connect in some way to that experience, because it affords me so many things that I think you can easily take for granted.
Yeah, well, you say that you may not be able to do it, but you do it very well on the silver screen, so I know a lot of people appreciate that. A lot of entertainment. I want to remind everybody who is joining us for our conversation that you can ask Chris and Scarlett a question if you'd like. Just use your Q&A chat box feature at the bottom of your screen. There's going to be a lot of them, I know. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Guys, I know that in 2016 you visited Incirlik Air Base in Turkey. And we're gonna revisit that air base virtually. If you guys are willing to do that with us, I know we've got some people there who want to see you, and I know that someone has a question for you there in Turkey. So if Incirlik, if you could join us, please. Activate your camera so we can see your beautiful faces. There you are.
Hey.
So wonderful to have you guys join us. I know that someone there has a question for my guests.
We do. I just wanted to say hello. I'm Phyllis. I'm the center manager for the USO, and we wanted to welcome you back virtually to Incirlik Air Base.
Yeah! Hi, I'm Major Brandon Savage, the 39th Coast Support Squadron Commander, and our first question goes to Scarlett. Hi, Scarlett. I'm a staff sergeant with the 39th Communications Squadron, and my hometown is Manchester, New Hampshire. My question is for Scarlett. What life skill have you learned from your movie roles that turned out to be really useful, and why?
What life skill? Well, I always say that in this industry we're sort of a jack of all trades but master of none. I've definitely learned how to look like things. Fake it till you make it, I guess. That may be the life lesson. I think about all the things that I've learned how to do, or fake learned how to do, or learned how to fake. I'm trying to think of them all. I was a zookeeper once. I was a tennis pro. Definitely, I've been a mercenary. That was useful. I was a hostess at a restaurant. Yeah, I've a lot of lives. Learning from my working in this industry is really the importance of collaboration and the importance of really being a part of a team, which I'm sure everybody here knows a lot about. Really, sometimes in a moment, the best ideas always come out of, a big contribution and everybody coming with their perspective and fresh ideas, and to be open to all kinds of possibilities. I think that's when really special things happen. So I would say really, from my own experiences, just working in general is really that, you know, to be open to that collaborative spirit. That way you get the best results, I think.
Very cool. That was a great question, man. We appreciate you. I understand someone has a question for Chris.
Hi, Chris and Scarlett. My name is Vanessa Garza, and I'm a technical sergeant with the 39th Logistics Readiness Squadron, and my hometown is Brownsville, Texas. I have a question for Chris. What was the best advice that you received, either personally or professionally, that you still follow?
God, the best advice.
It could have come from me, maybe.
God, what is the best advice? Well, this may seem a little oversimplified, but it was really good when I heard it. Someone just said, you don't forget, you'll never meet tomorrow. And I know that seems like a broad concept, but I think a lot of us live our lives with this kind of anxiety about the future. We're aware that time is ticking, and a lot of that stress exists tomorrow. Tomorrow will just be today, so it's happening. And I think that the point of the lesson or piece of advice was that it's cultivating the ability to stay present, and this whole notion of this looming tomorrow never comes. And I guess, again, these are broad platitudes, but it resonated at the time. So, I don't know, I guess that's it. I haven't gotten much good advice. Basically, that's
And I know Chris thinks that your T-shirt is very cool. Great
yeah,
shirt.
come on. It's a match.
Hey, we really appreciate you guys joining us there. I'm sorry, were you saying something else? I cut you off there.
Me?
Oh, no, looks like you might have frozen up there. All right. If you guys are still listening, Turkey, thank you so much.
Everybody over there brings probably one of the biggest smiles I've ever experienced in the past 6 months of time. That's for sure. It's really like a symbiotic thing, and we have such great memories of being in Turkey. We had a lot of fun there, and even I think one of my fondest memories of being there was actually using it was the swimmer, and then I was using the gym actually that morning after we arrived. And I guess, and I think that it was Katie, wasn't it Katie Ledecky, I think, that we were with? I can't remember who it was. And I was using the gym, and the Navy SEALs had just come in because they did like a race with her, and she won. And they couldn't figure out why she won. And I could hear them having the conversation where they just could not understand, like, what had she done that she, possibly maybe she warmed up before they got there or whatever. It was so funny. It was so funny.
Navy SEAls are not used to losing. Even to an Olympic athlete, they still think that they're going to win. Guys, I got a question for you here that was submitted to the Q&A chat box. It comes from Patty Stubenhofer. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She says, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. My daughter is majoring in performance arts, and my son is majoring in world cinema. Do you have any words of wisdom for them as they enter into the world of entertainment?
God, I mean, if he's going into world cinema, my advice would be make sure you watch a lot of old movies. Some of the best lessons you can learn, some of the best information out there about our industry is kind of how it began. I mean, it's still a young industry, to be honest. It wasn't that long ago that we were in the silent movie era. So a lot of early cinema is where the first risks were being taken, both in front of and behind the camera. So I'd say watch a lot of old movies. But it sounds like if he's majoring in world cinema, that's going to be part of the curriculum.
Scarlett, any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I mean, it's such I think there's a lot of opportunities now, which is really exciting in the entertainment industry because there's so many different mediums and different avenues you can take now with streaming and all these different short and long, forms of content. But the industry is still very competitive, and one thing that I always continuously throughout my career, when times would get frustrating or whatever, I felt like I was kind of hitting a wall. I would remind myself why I had started it, and then to check in with myself, like, do I love this? Am I passionate about this? What's my story to tell? I think it's important to kind of reconnect with yourself, as you put yourself out there, because it can get frustrating, and it's a way, I think, of just sort of centering yourself, grounding yourself, and making sure that you're staying on your same path, as it gets challenging, in these challenging times.
That's great advice. And just to add to what Chris said, as far as the history of Hollywood goes, there's a great series called Movie Stars and Moguls that originally aired on Turner Classic Movies. That's a fantastic history of Hollywood, really, really cool, all the way from the beginning of the studios to modern times. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely do it. Guys, another question for you from Robert Tombling, who is 7 years old. He is at Camp Pendleton, California. And Lisa Laporte at Marine Corps Base Quantico in Virginia, they both asked, what is one of your favorite shows or movies to binge watch right now?
God, binge watch.
Does it have to be friendly?
Does it have to be?
All right, the 7-year-old, please close your ears. This one will be for Lisa.
Well, we have been watching a lot of Pee Wee Herman in our house, so we definitely have been binge watching that classic. And we started watching some of Mad Men again, which is so good, and so fun to rewatch because it's so great. And we've also been watching Ozark on the 3rd season of that. And I watched a lot of Twilight Zone in the beginning of this, which I have to say was eerily kind of like on theme. It felt like, or feels like.
Very appropriate, yeah, very appropriate for these times. Chris, what about you? Have you binged on it?
I wish I've been thinking this whole time, like, come up with any answer that's cooler than what you got, and I just can't think. I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, and I kind of, if it ain't broke for me. So I watch a lot of The Office. I've always liked The Office, and so when I'm bored, I just put on one of those.
Well, are you a fan of the original Office, the English version as well?
Yeah, I like that one a lot, but my the American one has my heart.
Very cool. All right, guys, we're going to go to our next live location now. We're going to take a trip over to the islands.
¡Ay, Cris, se iba! ¡Cerrame la puerta! ¿Me puedes cerrar la puerta?
So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself real quick. Harold Gray. I go by my middle name, Will. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm the Command Sergeant Major here at Oaxaca Lower Training Area, referred to as PTA. And they mentioned earlier that you've been to Interlick, so I'll go ahead and invite you guys out here to come join us on the Big
Quiero
Island of
escuchar,
Hawaii.
mamá, porque encima,
I'll just
dale,
say
mami,
to Chris,
mami, no,
a
no,
lot has
ay, qué
changed since you
linda.
went to selection in
Está
1943
Chris.
at Camp Lehigh. So
Callado.
check us out and we'll get you involved in
Mami,
some good training.
cállate, no grites más porque no se escucha más desde el volumen, se
You know
escucha
what, I'd like
desde
to
el
say,
micrófono y se escucha
on a
re
personal
bajo.
level, thank you guys for doing this, for supporting the troops, and for your studios providing free content to forward deployed military members. It's a great reprieve for them to come out of those type of situations and be able to have something to free their mind up for a couple hours. Obviously, new content. I know you guys are focused on old content with your TV selections. So I'll get to the question. My question is for Scarlett Johansson. So you have a new movie coming out, Black Widow. My wife and I watched the trailer. We're really looking forward to it. And because of the difficult situation that we find ourselves in COVID, how hard is it to be prepared, have that movie ready, have all kinds of inside secrets and twists that you want to talk about, just to find out that it's pushed because of COVID?
Well, luckily this time I don't have to contend with Mark Ruffalo. He's got a loose lips. But I have to say that this experience, I think, for everybody has been very grounding. Before we were quarantined here in New York, obviously because we had a really terrible outbreak in early on. You know, we were on full lockdown, and we had right before that we had a lot going on. I'd say my boyfriend Colin and I had a lot going on. He had, you know, the season finale of SNL. I was out, you know, preparing a press junket with all my cast members, our director, and our studio, you know, heads and stuff like that to present Black Widow. Done a lot of long lead press, and we were waiting for that May 1st release date. And then, you know, obviously everything just went on lockdown. Like we're so busy that we didn't have any time to see each other, and then it got very small, and things felt really scary and uncertain for a while. And you know, I have to say that while of course there's a lot about that time that, you know, I was feeling very insecure and like I, you know, didn't have any kind of grounding. You know, I also felt really appreciative because I was able to, you know, be with my daughter, my partner, and we were in a safe place. You know, my family was thankfully safe and healthy, and you know, I think it just made me feel very, you know, your priorities were just very clear at that point. And so while it was kind of a big build up, and then it did feel like an initial letdown, but honestly, I think that, you know, when the film comes out on May 7th, it will really be, I think it will be seen with fresh eyes. And, you know, I think the messaging in the film, which is about family and about self-forgiveness and about forgiveness in general, will have a different kind of resonance with audiences. And I think they'll really be appreciative of it then, you know, in a different kind of way. So, yeah.
Man, Sergeant Major, we really appreciate your question there in Hawaii. Stay safe, and thank you very much for keeping us safe. We appreciate you joining us, sir.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, you guys got a trip to Hawaii coming up. You got to love that. Right
I'm ready. My bags are packed. I've been packed for months. Ready to go.
You got that emergency bag waiting for the Hawaii trip. All right, guys, another question from the Q&A box for you. Sergio and Adrian Quezada in Quantico, Virginia would like to know, taking Black Widow and Captain America out of the running, who are your favorite Marvel characters?
Oof. That's tough.
Yeah, Chris. Come on. Who are they?
Okay. Who are my favorite? Well, I'll do it this way. I'll do it from the standpoint, not as the actor, not the person, like the actual character. Maybe, you know, I was into Spider-Man when I was a kid, I think. You know, I mean, I really wasn't that into comic books, but if there was one that I was into, Spider-Man was probably the guy.
Nice. That's a good one. All right, Scarlett, what about you?
You do it about the actors.
That's really tough. I have to say it's pretty tough. It's like choosing your favorite child.
Another Sophie's choice question. I think that they stumped you, those two kids in Quantico.
That's right. I would say probably. That is a good question. I think probably. Oof.
Now, you have only taken Black Widow out of the equation. Captain America is one of your choices.
Oh.
Oh, well, that means wait, because that changes nothing.
Still no immediate answer, by the way.
I would say maybe. It's tough. It's really tough. I can't really.
Can anybody cue the Jeopardy theme?
All right, who's in the running? Who's in the running? Give me the top three.
Okay, Okoye is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I just think she's fantastic.
Badass.
I'm trying to leave Denai out of it, but that character is so good.
Yeah.
And like has just such presence. And I would say Hawkeye, I'm partial to for obvious reasons. And gosh, and those are the top two. I would say.
Those are the top two.
Hey, we got it narrowed down. That's
I'm like flop sweating.
That was a very tough question, but you answered it very diplomatically and graciously. I would have to say my favorite is Iron Man, just because he's got a really badass car collection.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
Iron Man probably be my choice. All right, guys, one more question for you
He's
here.
very emotionally needy, though. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Past that, if you let me
got a lot of baggage.
I can see past that. Yeah. Adamaris Moreria has a question for you. Again, I apologize if I just butchered your name. I'm a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it helped me get through moving around a lot as a military kid. How do you deal with the struggle of working long hours and being people's role models at the same time?
Two different questions. The long hours, it's luckily it's what we love to do. So I think it makes it a lot easier. We're not digging ditches. We're doing something that very few people get to do. So there's a lot of gratitude you feel every day, and even when you're tired and you're doing night shoots or something, and you got to do wet downs or some really unpleasant experience, there's still upside really. So long hours are more bearable, you think. Being a role model, I don't know. I mean, that's tough. I'm not quite sure. It's a good question. I mean, you get to interact with young people specifically, and you see the way that they're impacted. And I think back to the movies that affected me as a kid, and the way I looked up to those actors and athletes, whatever it was. So it's in your head. And I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I have an answer. I mean, luckily, I don't think I have any. God, I don't know. This is a tough question. This is just as hard as you picking your favorite Marvel character. I don't know how to be a Marvel.
Now Chris is flop sweating. What's going on here?
I know, right? I don't know. I mean, nope. I still got nothing. I keep on starting the sentence, hoping I'll stick the landing, and I got nothing. Tag in.
Tough to, there's a lot of pressure. I think we think about a role model as somebody, if your idea of a role model is someone who's sort of, this kind of someone who's perfect and sort of upholds all these, ideals. But if you actually are, remind people how we're all flawed, I think that's sort of, and that, we're all people, we're all more human than not. I think that's a way that that actually can be, I think, even more inspiring, I think, than to think of a and more comforting and deeper than to think of a role model as sort of like this kind of idyllic, sort of image of perfection and whatever. I mean, so that you kind of take the pressure away from it, and you can just connect with people on a human level. I think it's really can be a very rewarding and wonderful thing to know that your work gives people comfort or entertainment or inspires them to be self-reflective. I think that's really cool. And as far as working long hours and being away from home, it's so tough. It's tough. A lot of times can feel very lonely. I know for myself, and I think that I try to, in those times, really connect with the people around me and stay connected to them, and also express how I'm feeling. That's really helpful too. Talk to people about the fact that you're feeling lonely. Talk to them about the fact that that you're homesick. That's really helpful. And just being able to open up and be vulnerable with other people, I think, makes you feel a lot less alone.
Yeah, that's well said, Scarlett. And perhaps one very small silver lining to the pandemic and the quarantine is being able to spend more time with family, as you mentioned earlier. Guys, I want to let you know just how worldwide we are right now. We've got people joining us from Italy, from Japan, from Qatar, from Austria, from Poland, from Belgium. Several ships at sea are watching us right now. Bahrain, the UK. So you guys should be very proud that you're going out to such a large section of the world right now. And again, we really appreciate you guys joining us. We've got time for one more question here in the Q&A box. And this comes from Caitlin Paquin. She is at Royal Air Force Base Lockheath in the UK. If you weren't famous, what do you think you'd be doing for a living?
What would I be doing? I've always had, drawn to some sort of carpentry. I like, autonomous things. I kind of like just being on my own. So something that kind of let me work with my hands, that satisfaction of building something tangible, and just being by myself.
Scarlett, what about you?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It would be hard to think of. I probably would do some other thing in the entertainment industry. But that's kind of a boring answer. So I may have gone into politics, maybe, which is sort of like the entertainment industry a little bit. Feels like it. I've always been very engaged in local politics. My grandmother growing up was very active in her tenants association and within her community, the community board, and so it was sort of, I wouldn't say drilled into us because that sounds like it's like we didn't want it, but it was encouraged for us to be my siblings and I to be responsible members of the community and active and my brother became a community organizer and it's sort of in our nature. So maybe I would have gone into politics. I don't know. Although
I'm constantly figuring out how to get paid for being a responsible member of the community. As soon as I figure that out, I'm going to let you know. Guys,
I didn't say you could get paid.
Okay. Guys, we have just a couple minutes left, so I want to give you each an opportunity to offer some words of encouragement and support for all the troops who are joining us today. Chris, let's start with you.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'll echo what I said at the top of this. I just I have so much respect. Anytime you see something that you couldn't do, it elicits a sort of kind of awe, and for what it affords me, that awe quickly turns into just a deep, deep, deep sense of respect and gratitude. So I'm honored to be in a position where somehow this can put a smile maybe on any of your faces. It's just it's so happy to do it, so honored to do it, and again, your sacrifice is deeply, deeply appreciated and recognized, and please keep it up. Thanks.
Scarlett?
Yeah, I think just to all the men and women of the armed forces and to all the military families out there, just want to thank you guys for the sacrifices that you make to keep our country safe and to keep its citizens safe. Sure, I can only imagine that there are many moments on the job where you may need a reminder that you are appreciated. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. I'm thinking of you, and I will be honoring your service by voting and by encouraging others to do the same. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It's absolutely a pleasure to be able to connect with all of you in this way and to show you our appreciation.
Very well said, Scarlett. We can't thank you guys enough for joining us today on MVP Con. Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, best of luck to both of you. Next USO, let's make it in person. And for all of you who want to check in with the USO MVP series, all you got to do is go to uso.org/MVP. Chris, Scarlett, thank you again. We'll see you on the road.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.